title of this video is Wanting No Partner, Wanting to Be Alone, Independent. Do you know these people? They say they don't want a partner, they prefer the independence, they like to live their life alone, and they may even like to die alone. Do you know these people? This is what I'm talking about in this video. Now, I'm going to give you the black pill straight up. There's no such thing. Human connection, partnering up, wanting a partner, having a partner. It's a human biological need. If you want to be alone, that's fine if you want it temporarily. But long term, as a lifestyle, I don't think so. You are acting against your own biology. Therefore, you're suppressing a primary need, which of course is going to have consequences on the organism because the body and the mind are one and the same. Now, if you never checked out Gabor Mate, he talks about the mind-body connection. People who suppress the desires or their needs, they suffer from physical health issues later down the line. Of course, it is possible to create an identity disorder, to create illusions in your mind, to allow your mind to play tricks on you, to be comfortable with the idea of being alone, to feel like it would be less hassle, would be easier, would be more safe, less drama. All the justifications and rationalizations that the mind can produce to fortify and strengthen its defense against intimacy, against fear of abandonment. Because to commit to somebody, to attach, to connect to someone, it's giving them power. It's giving the other person control to hurt you. To give power, ego doesn't like that. So the ego, if somebody has a weak frontal lobe, if somebody is suffering from illusions, if somebody allows their mind to play tricks on them, the ego is going to control them. Just like a demonic possession. People who want to live their life alone, they're no different from people who worship the devil. Because the devil is about tricking you to believe that protecting your ego, aka minimizing pain and maximizing pleasure, is the way to go about life. That this is how you should live, and this is intelligent and smart, which of course it is not. Avoiding pain is not smart. That's for children, not for adults. An adult is to integrate Saturn. This is why we call age 29 to age 31 the Saturn return in astrology. If you don't know what that is, every person upon reaching the age 29.5 experiences an exact Saturn conjunction with natal Saturn. Every 29 years, Saturn makes a return to initiate a person into adulthood. Saturn is about pain, negative consequences, restrictions, through commitments. Okay? A relationship is a commitment. A relationship restricts you because there are expectations. There are needs to be fulfilled. Not just your needs, but your partner's needs. Therefore, if you are ego-driven, which means your frontal lobe is weak and the reptile brain is strong, because you haven't dealt with the trauma and the childhood abandonment fear. Ego-driven is fear-driven. You haven't dealt with all that fear that you've been run by, then you will be weak in your identity, and you, to protect this weak identity, you will avoid abandonment. So you will avoid other people. You will avoid relationships. That's why in astrology, the 7th house of relationships is opposite to the 1st house, the house of identity. Relationship, identity, they are one axis. People who have a weak identity cannot have a relationship. People who are struggling to assert themselves and their needs people who have a low level of tolerance for other people's needs and other people's desires. People who have a low level of empathy because their frontal lobe is weak, because they are disconnected and disempathic towards their own needs and their own desires. Desire, frontal lobe. They struggle with relationships. People who are good in relationships are people who assert themselves, who have strong desires, who always say what they want and they get what they want, and assert it aggressively, but fairly, with empathy for their partner, knowing that relationships are about cooperation. Now, people who are uncooperative, people who are selfish, because they're self-absorbed, because they're in survival mode, reptile brain is selfishness. Selfishness which drives narcissism, which drives avoidant attachment style, and many other dysfunctional behaviors. These kinds of people, they're driven by the ego, which is why they are afraid of people, because their ego is weak. The ego is small. So it's constantly threatened by people very easily, threatened by their expectations, irritated by them. Oh no, how can they demand things from me? I need to be independent, blah, 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 blah. Because the person is weak. The person has no capacity to be available for other people, because they're not even emotionally available for themselves. However, because the reptile brain rules them, the reptile brain still forces them to engage in self-soothing, self-isolating, self-deprecating, selfish behaviors that use others for gratification without being too attached. So of course, if you are dealing with somebody who's preferring to live alone, they will still socialize, of course, because they're human, unless they are schizoid, which by the way is an identity disorder. They will still look for interaction. Why? Why are you socializing? Why do you have friends? Why do you hang out with people if you prefer to be alone? If it's so great to be alone, why go out? Yes, because interactions with people satisfy a need, but they also drain you. Why would people drain you? Because there's expectations that put pressure on you. You feel pressured. You feel anxious. You feel trapped by other people's expectations, which means you are running on a blame defense. You are blaming other people for what you're feeling internally. The pressure that you feel is part of a survival mechanism, a mask, a fantasy defense, a false self overlay. So the false self, which is the devil, by the way, the devil worship, it tries to take possession of your body by pressuring you, so you feel trapped with other people. Because it is based on a belief that says, if I'm being myself, I will be abandoned. So therefore, I will always feel the pressure to not be myself, to abandon myself, to neglect myself, to please others, to manipulate others, to keep the peace, to be harmonious, by being disharmonious towards myself. So I feel drained by interactions because I feel the need to sacrifice my energy, my time, to maintain relationships, which means I have a psychopathic devil mindset in engaging with other people. I have a pathological worldview that I assume that relationships are about transaction. I give, they give. I don't give, they don't give. No, you do whatever the fuck you want, and they do what they want. Oh, mommy and daddy didn't teach you that it's okay to want things, and that your human body will, by default, cooperate with other people when it serves you and your biology, And if it doesn't serve you and your biology, you will look for compatible people who do serve you, where you feel zero pressure. Well, not zero, but basically no pressure. Where you feel not drained, but energized by the interaction. So if you haven't learned that, you will indeed choose to be with incompatible people. People you shouldn't even be with. Then you will complain that people are draining you, while you struggle to have boundaries with people who are not your people. And you will complain about other people. You will be in a victim mindset. Again, you are worshipping the devil. You are addicted. I'm serious. Addicted to making other people responsible for what you are feeling. That pressure, that expectation, that they are draining me, blah, 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 blah. As if you have no power. As if you have no say in a relationship. As if there is something wrong with you. As if you are shameful and despicable for choosing to have boundaries and say, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to play a facade. So that guilt, that shame that you feel when you are finally being yourself, when you are refusing to be ruled by the pressure, it's a survival pattern. It's low self-esteem. That's not loving yourself because you feel at the core that who you are, who you really are, is worthy of being abandoned. That you should be abandoned. And that is what is to be expected from other people should you stop to give in to the pressure. So therefore, you will blame other people, this is mentally a mindset, and say, oh, they are pressuring me with their expectations. I need my independence. I need my space. They are responsible for me not feeling good when I'm with them. Okay, then go somewhere else, maybe look for other people. Oh, everybody makes me feel pressured. All relationships make me feel drained and suffocated and trapped, which is why I need space. I wonder who is the reoccurring thing throughout all your relationships? Who or what is the thing that is present in all your relationships in which you feel drained or pressured or trapped? You. Of course. Who else? So, of course, it's always about other people. So, people who do this, it's all about victim mindset. Victim mindset, victim mentality, blaming other people, having a dysfunctional worldview, assuming that relationships are just bad. Because maybe that's what the person, that's all the person has ever known. They've never experienced a relationship in which they don't feel trapped. So that's really just mentally ill. But of course it's not mentally ill. It just means your parents have been pretty abusive, didn't give you space, didn't co-regulate with you. So you were forced to take care of yourself, satisfy your own needs, be the parentified child or whatever you want to call it. So now when you are in relationships, you feel alone. Like you don't deserve to be considered or to be treated well for being yourself. Which of course you're not thinking consciously, you're thinking it unconsciously. So people like this, they always look for space. They always want independence. They always want to be alone. They don't want to be in a committed relationship. Because they don't want to deal with their own character armoring, their own trauma, which they have to resolve. Not by running away from relationships, but by engaging in them and finally realizing when I feel pressured, when I feel suffocated, I am the one who's doing it. I am making myself feel this way if I choose to be with a person who is suffocating me. But if the other person is not suffocating me, if they're not doing anything, then who is to blame? Me. I am responsible. But of course, it's not about blame. It's your reptile brain is doing this. This is an automated response from the body. The nervous system is in overdrive. It's in flight, fight, fawn, freeze, in whatever the fuck the response is trying to do to maintain a sense of control, to avoid abandonment. Because it just doesn't feel safe. So, why not? What do you need to feel safe? Because if you did feel safe, you wouldn't say, oh, I prefer to be alone. But if it's safe to be with somebody else and you get all the benefits, why wouldn't you want the benefits exactly? Yeah, right. So I'm not buying it. Yeah, anybody who don't bore me with this human AI. Yeah, that's what I call it, human AI. Yeah, anybody who is ever set on this good earth, I want to be independent. I don't want to have a partner. That's your human AI talking. That's not you. You would never say this. Like, what the fuck? Who are you kidding? You, meaning the entity that is in charge of this body, that means you're responsible for this body, to fulfill the biological needs of this body, because the body rewards you with drugs, oxytocin, serotonin, and God knows what it rewards you with, to feel good, to be happy. And you're telling me you don't want these drugs? You don't want to be healthy? You don't want to be fulfilled emotionally? No, you want to be independent and alone, without any of those drugs which make your body healthy and happy. I am not buying it for a second. Never. So, as a soul, we are a protector of the body. Anybody who's not representing their body, who's not protecting their body, who's not interested in fulfilling the body's needs, psychopathic, narcissistic, avoidant, reptile brain, snake consciousness, devil worship, evil, what the fuck ever you want to call it. But it's certainly not healthy.